Okay, so for today's flow class, we'll start on the mat on your back, but you'll bring the soles of the feet to the mat, lying down, walking the feet out wide to the outer edges of the mat and bringing the knees together. So the knees touch. Arms can come down by the sides. Close the eyes. Start to take a deep breath in through the nose. Back out through the mouth. 2 more cleansing breaths, just like that one. Deep breath in. As long as you can, exhale out of the mouth. Inhale in through the nose. Back out through the nose. Inhale in through the nose. And slowly back out. Keep going on your own. Dropping into your practice right away. Heel toe the feet to hip width distance apart. So they'll come in closer together. You can walk the feet in a little bit until you get the heels underneath the knees. Arms down by the sides. You can have the palms facing down on the mat. As you press into the feet, lift the hips up to halfway into a bridge. So you're not going all the way up with the hips. It's just a shorter bridge. And then exhale, set it back down. So we'll do that a few more times. Don't go all the way up. It's a bigger pose. So you just want to start small. Inhale, come up part of the way. And exhale, set the hips back down to the mat. A few more times like this. Inhale, up part of the way. Exhale, back down. Inhale, up part of the way. And exhale, back down. This time we'll incorporate the arms. Arms will reach up and back over the head. So inhale, lift the hips up, reach the arms overhead, head and shoulders stay on the mat, and exhale, arms come down by the sides and hips come down to the mat. Inhale, reach up and back with the arms, lift the hips. They're probably naturally going up a little bit higher. Exhale, set it all back down to the mat. Inhale, lift the hips and the arms up and back. Exhale, set it down. 3 more like this. Inhale, lift up, go up as high as you feel comfortable going with the hips. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift up. Keep the hips up, just bring the arms down by the sides. You can keep the arms where they are or interlace the fingers, get the shoulder blades underneath you, press into the feet, coming into a fuller version of bridge pose. Chest is lifting and spreading. You're looking up. This is Setu Bandhasana. Breathing in and out through the nose, up and down the back of the throat. Feeling the back sides of the legs contract to support this. So you're digging into the heels, almost like you're going to slide the heels in toward the shoulders. And slowly release on your next exhale. Start to bring the hips down to the mat, rest. Back to what we did before, heels, feet out wide to the outer edges of the mat and knees knocked together. So this is such a nice way to bring some space to the lower back. You can open up the arms like a T shape or bend at the elbows if that feels better. Keep the feet wide. Just move the knees side to side like windshield wipers, staying on your back. Come back to center, heel toe the feet back to hip width distance apart. Interlace the fingers back behind the head, resting the head in the hands, and then lift the feet up. So knees stay over the hips. You can even move them behind the hips if you want an added challenge. Look up, take an inhale. On the exhale, lift the shoulder blades up and away from the mat. Inhale back, exhale up. Inhale back, exhale up. Inhale back, exhale up. We'll change it this next round. Inhale back, exhale up. Set the head down to the mat, extend the legs out in front of you. So you're hovering, the heels just above the mat, but the head's still down. So take an inhale like this. On the exhale, bring the knees in, lift the chest and the shoulder blades up. So inhale, extend the legs out in front of you. Exhale, bring the knees in, chest and chin toward the knees. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it in. This time you can reach the arms back behind you like you did before. So inhale, reach the arms all the way back. So it's Ardha Navasana. And then exhale, arms come forward, bring the knees in, head and chest lifts. Inhale, arms back, heels hover. Exhale, knees come in, chest lifts. Inhale, extend, laughing because of the challenge. Exhale, bring it all in. Let's do 3 more. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it in. 2 more. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it in. Last one. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it in. Reach the hands forward, bring the knees in toward the chest, and then hang on to the knees. Rest the head on the mat. Rock side to side. Send some love to all those people that requested core. We're all feeling it. Set the feet back down to the mat. Roll over to your right side. Use the hands to bring yourself up to seated. So once you come to seated, come forward to hands and knees, tabletop. Bring the knees all the way. So we're coming into Virasana, hero's pose. So you'll bring the knees all the way together. Tops of the feet come down to the mat, but they're a little wide. So you want them to be wide enough so you can fit the hips. I like a block between the feet. If you can set the hips all the way down evenly on the mat, then skip the block. Block can go at whatever height you need it to be. So you'll bring the hips back on. Move the calf muscle out of the way. It always gives you more room for the knees to bend. And then set the hips down. The hips need to be even on something. So you're getting this quad stretch. We're opening up the knees, also the tops of the feet and the ankles with this pose with the lower half of the body. Keep the chest lifted. Reach the arms up overhead. Bend that right elbow. Hang on to that right elbow, just working the fingertips down the back. Chest is lifted. So as we open up the lower body, we're also getting into the upper body, trying to open up the shoulders. We do have a peak pose that we'll play with today, one I haven't taught in a while. So we'll need the hips to be open, a nice internal hip rotation of the hips, and the shoulders need to be open. Reach the arms all the way up, bend the left elbow, reaching down the center of the back. Hang on to that left elbow. You're working that left elbow back. So it's not, for some of us, it's going to want to go forward. The chest will collapse. The gaze will go down. Keep the gaze forward, chest lifted, working that elbow back. Some of us will get it behind the head a little bit, so it's not in front of the face. Then reach the arms all the way back up. Bring the arms behind the back, make fists with the hands. And as you touch the fists behind the back, shoulders away from the ears, just move the elbows back behind you. So elbows are going back, chest is lifted, shoulders away from the ears, still staying in that upper body. And release the arms down by the sides. You can take some shoulder rolls. So circle the shoulders, just the shoulders move. Try to keep the arms just dangling. So lift the shoulders up toward the ears, back behind you, down low, and then bring them forward. And keep going with this, trying to make as big of a circle as you can with the shoulders and not using anything else. And then switch the direction, go forward or whatever, opposite way of what you were doing before. Maybe you weren't with me. We just want to go both directions. One direction is usually easier than the other. It's probably the first one that you did was the easier one. Your body already knows that. All right, and then you'll come back to center, bring the hands down in front of you. If you have anything underneath you, set it off to the side. We're back in tabletop. Once you get to tabletop, walk the hands forward, way ahead of the shoulders, take downward facing dog, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. And this is going to be a nice stretch for the legs after having them bent. So you can pedal out the feet if you want to. Another nice one that could be good is lifting the heels up high over the balls of the feet, pushing the hips up and back, keeping the legs straight, and then moving the hips side to side. Gently side to side. Heels start to reach down toward the mat. Hips are still going up and back. And as you bring the heels down, you're lifting the hips up at the same time. That's where you get the length in the back sides of the legs. Backs of the thighs are broadening, and that brings space to the lower back as you hug the belly in. Glide forward to plank pose. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Two more like that. Inhale, forward plank pose, stack the shoulders over the wrists, lift the thighs, and exhale back, downward facing dog. Inhale, glide forward to plank pose. This time, lower yourself all the way down to the mat slowly. Take your time. Once you get there, bring the left forearm in front of the face, bend the right knee, grab that right foot. You can either keep the chest and the head lifted, and that adds a back bend to the stretch, or you can bring the head all the way down and rest it on the arm. It's up to you. And then with that foot, the right foot, you want to make sure the right knee's pointing straight back so it feels like the knees are side by side. You can bring the heel all the way in toward the glute, bending the arm, the right arm, or wherever the flexibility is in the knee. We're trying to get into the quad. Gently release, switch sides. Right forearm comes down, bend that left leg, reach back, grab for the foot, bring the heel in toward the glute as much as the knee will allow and the leg will allow. You can keep the chest lifted, the head lifted, or rest the head down on the arm and just focus on the legs. And gently release the left foot back behind you. Bring the hands back by the lower ribs, setting up for cobra. Tops of the feet press down, feet are hip width distance apart. Inhale up. So we already did our bridges. So your back's already open for your back bend. So you could come up a little higher. And exhale, release. Tuck the toes, either hands and knees or back up to plank pose. Then downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, walk the feet up to the hands. Top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Let's do that 2 more times. Ardha Uttanasana. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Last one. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. This time we're coming all the way up. Circle the arms all the way up to standing, using the strength of the legs. Hands come together down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold fingertips to the mat or blocks if you want to use blocks. Step the left foot back behind you, coming into a runner's lunge. So find that long stride, stack the right knee over the right ankle, maybe staying up higher on the hands. So fingertips, you can keep that chest lifted, reaching forward and take any rounding out of the upper back. Getting into the hips a little bit more, firing up the legs. Then straighten the front leg, coming into a modified pyramid pose. So you could walk the hands back more underneath the shoulders to give yourself a little bit more space. Let the head and the neck go. You could also walk the hands forward or blocks underneath the hands. Could be a great alternative. Inhale forward to your lunge. Set the back knee down as far back as you can get it. So with the toes tucked, scoot that left knee back. Once you get it as far as it'll go, left hand underneath the left shoulder, right arm, right hand, right hips. You're opening the chest to the right. Now you're getting a twist in the spine. We're getting into the hips still. You can stay right here, or you can see if it's available, bending that left knee, reaching back, grabbing for the foot if it's there. If it's not there, skip it. Just keep the right hand on the right hip and you're still in the rest of the pose. Also, propping up that left hand on a block makes the reach back for the foot shorter. So that's another good option. Gently release that left foot if you have it, right hand to the hip. Bring the chest forward, gaze down to the mat, hands down to the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step that left foot forward to the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, right foot steps way back, runner's lunge. Start here. Keep the chest lifted, upper back long instead of rounded. Pushing back with the inner right heel. Straighten the front leg, start to walk the hands back or forward, finding your modified pyramid pose, letting the head and the neck go, getting into the backside of that left leg. Inhale forward to your lunge, set the back knee down. Once it touches, see if you can scoot it back a little further, maybe an inch. Left hand, left hip, open the chest to the left. Feel that long twist in the spine. Maybe that right knee bends, you point the toes, reach back, grab for the right foot. Try not to wing out that left knee. Slowly start to let the right foot go, left hand to the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, big step forward, forward fold. Maybe heel toe the feet wider than hip width distance, clasp opposite elbows. You can gently sway side to side. Make sure the weight's heavier in the balls of the feet rather than the heels. If that's the case and it was a big shift, you'll feel the hips move forward, and that's a deeper opening in the back sides of the legs. Clasp opposite elbows the other way. And if it bothers your lower back to sway gently, just hold still, staying in the forward fold. Hands come back down to the mat, heel toe the feet back to hip width distance. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. We're coming all the way back up. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Surya A. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend, could be up dog. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, maybe hop, feet forward up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms up to standing. Bring the hands together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Legs are strong, lifted away from the mat, belly hugs in. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Deep bend in the knees, looking forward to the top of the mat. Feet come up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway to chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Lift the right leg up and back, three-legged down dog. Don't open up that right hip though, so keep the right toes pointing down toward the mat. Bring the knee to the nose. Right knee comes up to the nose. Push the mat away from you, round the spine, lift that foot up as high as you can, and then step the right foot forward up between the hands. Hop the back foot in, sealing that left heel down to the mat. You're coming up for warrior one. So reach the arms forward all the way up. Left inner thigh spins back behind you. Right inner thigh reaches forward. Belly hugs in. We've done a lot of back bending, so you could explore a deeper back bend in your warrior one if it's feeling good in your body. Gaze could maybe go up if that's okay. Trying to stay even in both legs. If the gaze is forward, if the gaze is up, bring it forward. Arms reach back behind you. Interlace the fingers. Open up across the chest. Humble warrior. Take your time. That chest can always rest on top of the thigh, or maybe you go inside the thigh if you want a deeper variation. But the tendency here is the right hip swings out to the right. You want to hug it in so it's behind the right knee. Open up the shoulders. Knuckles are heavy behind the head. Come back up. Warrior one, take your time. Square everything forward, hips as best you can, chest. Maybe the gaze goes up. And exhale. Hands come down to the mat. Make your way back. Downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa. If you skip it, you have more time in downward facing dog, which is always a good alternative. Left leg reaches up and back, three-legged down dog. Keep those left toes pointing down toward the mat. Knee to nose. Bring the knee all the way up to the nose. Stack the shoulders over the wrist. Push the mat away from you. Then step that left foot all the way through. Warrior one. Hop that back foot in. Reach the arms forward all the way up. Find that rotation of the inner right thigh going back behind you, left inner thigh going forward. Explore the back bend that feels comfortable in your body. Just hug that core in as you lift the chest, maybe the gaze. Gaze comes forward, arms reach back behind you, interlace the fingers, one finger over, other index finger on top. Stretch the knuckles back, shoulders away from the ears the whole time. Fold forward, humble warrior. Keep that left hip in toward the midline. Shoulders still away from the ears, even when you get the head down. Knuckles go back behind the head. Back to warrior one, release the clasp of the hands, reach the arms forward all the way up. Keep the deep lunge in the front leg and the back leg straight. One more inhale, reach up and exhale. Hands come down to the mat, step back, maybe a vinyasa on the way to downward facing dog. Few breaths in your downward facing dog. Reach the heels down toward the mat. Lift the hips up high. Hug the belly in, lowest front ribs in, shoulders away from the ears. Squeeze the arms together as you press down into the whole hand, especially the inner edge of the hand, thumb, index finger side of the hand. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, hop. Feet go up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Utkatasana chair pose. Bend the knees, reach the arms up, weight in the heels. Chest keeps lifting. Hips keep going lower. Come all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Find a focal point straight in front of you, something eye level. Bring the hands to the hips. Shift the weight over to the right foot. Bend the left knee. So it's like you're lifting that left foot back behind you. Point the toes, reach back. See if you can grab that left foot. Right arm can reach up. And then you're lengthening the quad away from you. You might get a cramp in the left hamstring. See if you can breathe through it. If you need to take a break, take a break. But lengthen the front side of the body. Get it as long as you can, reaching up. And gently set the left foot down to the mat. Hands come together like prayer. Stay with that focal point. Hands to the hips. Shift the weight over to the left foot. Bend that right knee. Reach back. See if you can grab the right foot. Left arm reaches up. Stand tall. Chest is lifted. That right quad is as long as you can get it. Knees are side by side, so the right knee's not going out to the right. And slowly release. Hands come back together in prayer. Inhale, sit back, chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, vinyasa, or skip it. Get yourself back to downward facing dog without rushing, following your own breath. Right leg lifts up and back, three-legged down dog. Step that right foot all the way through, up between the hands. Hop the back foot in, warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. Interlace the fingers, back behind you, open up across the chest, fold forward, humble warrior. Keep the clasp of the hands, lift the chest up halfway. So you're hovering low over this front thigh. And if the fingers don't want to stay interlaced, you can just skip that part and keep pressing the palms together. Come onto the ball of the back foot. So now you're in a lunge. Chest is reaching forward. You're looking down at the ground forward. So look ahead of where you want to go. Warrior 3. Hug that outer right hip in, start to shift the weight forward to the right foot, left leg lifts up. If it's too much to keep the fingers interlaced, skip that part. Lifting that left leg from the inner left thigh. Bend the standing leg, land in that lunge, ball the back foot, lands to the mat. Release the interlacing of the fingers, warrior 1. Spin that left heel down flat, reach the arms forward all the way up. Find the back bend wherever it is. Hug the core in, chest lifts. Then exhale, hands come down to the mat, make your way back, downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Step that left foot all the way through, up between the hands, warrior 1. Hop the back foot in, reach the arms forward, all the way up. Find the back bend. Then gaze forward if it's up, arms back behind you, interlacing the fingers, one finger over, open up across the chest, start to fold forward, humble warrior. Get those knuckles up and back. Then come up halfway, maybe keeping the interlacing of the fingers. You don't have to. Come onto the ball, the back foot, look forward. Warrior 3. Shift the weight forward to the left foot, lift up from the inner right thigh, pressing that right leg away from you. Chest is reaching forward. Bend the standing leg, reach back with the ball of the right foot, spin that right heel down flat, release the clasp of the hands, reach the arms all the way up, warrior 1. Find the back bend in your warrior 1. Hug the core in, get the legs to press down toward the mat so you can lift the chest up. Hands come down to the mat, step back, plank, down dog, vinyasa, up to you. One more inhale here. Exhale, lion's breath. Stick the tongue out, bulge the eyes. Then bend the knees. Look forward, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. Chest lifts, legs are low, belly hugs in. Shoulders away from the ears. Come all the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Find that focal point in front of you, bring the hands to the hips, shift the weight over to the right foot, bend the left leg, see if the foot's there, reaching that right arm up. Lengthen the whole front side of the body. So you're probably grabbing the outer edge of the foot, which is great. You could play with grabbing the inner edge of the foot, which is a deeper shoulder opening. See how that feels? We're just staying right here, not going anywhere else. If it's okay for the left shoulder to grab the inner edge of the foot, just keep lengthening the front side of the body, standing as tall as you can. And then set it back down. Hands come together, prayer pose. Hands come together in prayer. You're in Tadasana. Bring the hands to the hips, shift the weight over to the left foot, bend that right leg, grab for the right foot, left arm reaches up. Maybe you switch the grip of the foot to the inner edge of the foot. See how that feels on the right shoulder. It's a deeper opening. Maybe it's okay. If it is, stand as tall as you can. And set the foot down, hands come together right in front of the heart. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, maybe a vinyasa, go back to downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up and back, three-legged down dog. Right knee to the nose, bring it all the way up. Step that right foot all the way through, warrior one. Hop the back foot in, reach the arms forward, all the way up. Square the hips, lift the chest. Arms reach back behind you, interlacing the fingers, humble warrior. Take your time, bow forward when you're ready. And you can take a deep, a good opportunity to open up the shoulders one more time. Lift the chest up halfway so you can reach it forward. Up to you if you keep the interlacing of the fingers. Find that focal point straight in front of you. Come onto the ball of the back foot, warrior three. Take your time. Make sure you have control of that outer right hip. If you have the fingers interlaced, gently release them, but squeeze those palms together. Slowly come up to standing, hovering that left foot away from the mat. So you're flexing the foot, keeping it lifted. And then bend that left knee, reach back, grab for the left foot, right arm reaches up. You can grab the outer edge of the foot or the inner edge. Maybe you take a mudra with that right hand, index finger and thumb together. Look straight forward, eye level, hug the core and find a back bend here. Start to reach forward as that left inner thigh goes back behind you, dancer's pose. So you're pressing the foot into the hand back into the foot. You're looking forward and you're reaching forward. So it's not about dipping the chest, it's about lifting the chest, hugging the core in. Slowly come back up to standing. Take your time. Hang on to that foot. Release the foot, hover it above the mat. Hands come together right in front of the heart. Step back to your lunge. Pop the back foot in. Reach the arms forward and up. Warrior one. This time, hands come to the hips, look forward, straighten the front leg. Fold forward halfway. Hands come down, pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. So you can rest the hands on blocks, fingertips. Same thing here. You can walk the hands back or forward if you're looking for a deeper opening, if the leg needs it. Start to come up halfway, step back to plank pose, but a bend in that right knee, step the feet back, lower down vinyasa, maybe skip it, downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Knee to nose, hug that core in as you bring it forward. Step the left foot all the way through to the top of the mat, warrior one. Find the back bend. So the upper body's really similar here. You're finding that back bend, chest is lifted, legs are strong. Interlace the fingers back behind you, one finger over, open up across the chest. Here's your shoulder opening, forward fold, humble warrior. Come up halfway, away from the thigh, looking forward. Come onto the ball of the back foot, warrior three. Shift the weight forward, reach that right leg up and back. With control, release the clasp with the hands, keep squeezing the hands together. You're coming up to standing, hovering that right foot away from the mat. So you keep it nice and strong. Once you get the head over the hips, bend the right leg, reach back, grab for the right foot, left arm reaches up. Maybe left index finger, thumb together. Stand as tall as you can on the left side of the body, hug the core in, look straight forward, start to reach forward, press that right foot into the right hand, and vice versa as you come into dancer's pose. Inner right thighs reaching straight back behind you. Slowly come back up to standing. Hang on to the foot if you can. And then hover the foot away from the mat. Hands come together like prayer. Back to a lunge. Reach that right foot back. Bend that left knee. Hop the back foot in. Arms up. Warrior one. Inner right thigh still spinning back behind you. Belly hugging in. Then bring the gaze forward. Hands to the hips. Straighten the front leg. Fold forward halfway. Hands down, pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. Find that stretch in the back side of the left leg, the whole back. Let the head and the neck go. Inhale forward to your lunge, plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog with or without the vinyasa. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. One last time, bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, make your way back, downward facing dog. Those vinyasas are always optional, so never feel obligated to do them. Your body needs to want them. Right leg reaches up and back, three-legged down dog. Right knee to the nose. Step that right foot all the way through. Warrior one, take your time. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Open up across the chest. Humble warrior. Lift the chest up halfway. This time, release the clasp of the hands. Just keep squeezing the palms together. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Shift forward, warrior three. Come up to standing. Hover the left foot underneath the hip. Once you get there, right arm reaches up. Bend the left leg. See if you can grab for the foot. Maybe you grab the inner edge of the foot if your shoulders are feeling open. Look forward, find that mudra, index finger and thumb together with your right hand. Start to reach forward, press the foot into the hand back into the foot, belly hugs in, chest lifts. Try not to swing that right hip too far out to the right. Then slowly come back up to standing, hang onto the foot, right arm reaches up. Left foot comes down to the mat, hands come together. On inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Hands come to the mat, step that left leg back behind you, hop the back foot in, find warrior one. Hands to the hips, straighten the front leg. Fold forward halfway, pyramid pose, hands to the mat, let the head and the neck go. Coming up onto the fingertips, looking forward, come onto the ball of the back foot, bend that right knee, make your way back, downward facing dog, however you want to get there. Good work. Just the other side. Left leg reaches up and back. Knee to nose. Left foot steps all the way through. Hop the back foot in. Warrior one. Interlace the fingers, one finger over, open up across the chest, humble warrior. Coming up halfway with the chest, keep the legs, release the clasp of the fingers, palms face one another. Come onto the ball of the back foot, warrior three. Come up to standing, hovering that right foot away from the mat. Left arm reaches up, bend that right leg, grab for the foot, outer edge of the foot, or maybe inner edge of the foot if the shoulder is okay with it. Index finger, thumb together on the left hand. Look straight forward, eye level. You're staying with that drishti the whole time. Start to reach forward, press the foot into the hand back into the foot. Lengthen the body, the front side of the body, hug the core in. Slowly come back up to center. Get that knee underneath the hip, left arm up. Feet together, hands together, standing at the top of the mat. Circle the arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, fingertips to the mat, step the right foot back behind you, warrior one. Spin that heel down flat, reach the arms forward and up. Keep that lunge in the front knee. Then look forward, straighten that front leg, hands to the hips, fold forward halfway. Left hip pulls back, right hip comes forward. So hips are right next to each other. Then set the hands down to the mat, maybe fingertips, fold over the left leg. You can walk the hands back for a gentler opening or hands forward for a deeper opening. Come up halfway, bend that left knee, make your way back, downward facing dog. This time, lift the right leg up and back, step the right foot all the way through, up between the hands, coming into a runner's lunge, but we'll set the back knee down. Scoot that back knee as far back as you can get it. Left hand underneath the left shoulder or on a block. Right hand, right hip, open the chest to the right. Bend that left knee, reach back, grab for the foot. Should be way easier than the first time we did this, but you still might not have the foot, and that's okay. If you don't, just let that part go. Keep the right hand on the hip. Find your twist. Some of you might be able to get the left forearm down to the mat or a block. You'll come back up onto the hand if you're on the forearm. Let that left foot go. Tuck the back toes, lift the back leg, step back, downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Step that left foot all the way through, up between the hands. Back knee goes down as far back as you can get it. Then left hand, left hip, open the chest to the left. Maybe you stay here or reach back, grab for the foot, see if it's there. Maybe the right forearm comes down to the mat. Just so you guys know, I can hardly ever get the forearm down to the mat. Today's a special day for me. So just don't want you thinking that this is always, am I always available? We all use our bodies in such different ways. Some of us can probably easily get here whenever we want, and then others, it hardly ever happens. All right, come back up onto the right hand. If you have the forearm down, gently release that right foot back behind you. Left hand comes to the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, stepping back, downward facing dog. Bring the knees down to the mat, take child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart, sit the hips back, forehead comes down. You could bring the arms back behind you. That would probably be a nice version of child's pose today. With that forehead resting down on the ground underneath you, feeling the cooling response start to kick in with that pressure point in the forehead being touched. Bring the hands underneath you, feet come over to one side and come to seated, legs out in front of you. And you'll bring the sole of the right foot in, step the right foot over the left leg, bend that left leg underneath you. So you're keeping the sole of the right foot on the mat and you're trying to keep both hips down on the mat. You could also just extend that bottom leg if it's too much. We're coming into a twist. You'll open the chest to the right. You can either hug this outer right knee in toward the body, sitting up tall on both sit bones, or some of you can easily hook that left elbow outside the right thigh and come into your twist this way, bringing the gaze back behind you. This is a deep twist, so don't force yourself into it. But we did a lot of back bending today, so a deep twist is nice to release that. Slowly start to bring the gaze forward, unwind the upper body. You could, if that bottom leg's bent, or even if it's extended out in front of you, grab the outer right ankle and bring the foot to the side. So you're coming into Gomukhasana legs. Hips, both hips are still on the mat. If they're not, put something underneath your hips. Reach the arms all the way up. Fold forward over the legs if the hips are okay with that. Now, some of us will be feeling this on the outer right hip glute area, the back. Start to walk the hands in, bring the hands back behind you, extend that bottom leg, then the top leg. Come back up to seated, bring that left foot in so you can get the sole of the foot down to the mat. Cross that left foot over the right leg. Left foot stays on the mat, the sole of the foot. You can lean over to the right to bend the right knee and see if the leg and the knee are okay with that. Hips down on the mat, sitting up tall, left fingertips back behind you. Either wrap the right arm around this knee, pulling it in, sitting up tall, or hook the elbow, looking over that left shoulder. Head right over the hips as you lengthen up through the crown of the head. Start to bring the gaze back forward, unwind the chest, grab that outer left ankle, bring the foot out to the side, finding some version of Gomukhasana legs. It could be half Gomukhasana. Sitting up tall first, inhale, reach the arms up, exhale, forward fold, down over the legs. Let the head and the neck go, close the eyes. One last hip opening. Walk the hands in, bring the hands back behind you, lean back, bottom leg goes out, top leg extends out in front of you. Walk the feet in, feet wide, windshield wipers, knees side to side. Come back to seated, this time legs extended out in front of you. Reach the arms all the way up, Paschimottanasana, forward fold. Let the hands rest on something. If you can easily reach the feet, great, but don't feel like you have to. You can always bring the hands to the legs or the mat, letting the head and the neck go, or strap. You can loop the soles of the feet with the strap and hang onto the strap, reaching the chest forward. And that's another nice way to do the shape. Start to come back up to seated, leaving the legs the way that they are. Reach the arms forward, palms facing up, hug the core in, start to round the back, reaching back, slowly laying down, using that core to slow down the whole process, setting the back down one vertebra at a time, as slow as you can. Once you get the shoulders down, the head can come down, arms out by the sides. Maybe widen the feet, wider than hip width distance. Make sure you're not touching anything like blocks or props or anything. Shoo those out of the way. Then close the eyes, soften the face, relax the hands and the feet. Shavasana. And you'll start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Reach the arms overhead, find a long stretch. walking the feet in, bending the knees, rolling over to your right side, cradling the head and the arm. Just staying on your side for a moment, feeling that shift happen from being on your back to transitioning to moving back into your day. Use that left hand, bring yourself up to your meditation seat, whatever that looks like. It could involve props, or maybe you're just flat on the mat. Sitting up tall, chest is nice and open and lifted. Bring the hands together in front of you. And to close your practice, bow the head, honor and acknowledge your heart and your spirit now that you can see it shining bright. Same thing with everyone else around you. Honor and acknowledge theirs. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. So that dancer's pose is arguably one of the most difficult postures in yoga. Your hips, shoulders have to be really open. It's balanced. It's a little bit of everything. So if you were able to do it, great. If you weren't, wherever you are is fine. So you have to be happy with where you're at in your practice today, because then you find once you are able to accomplish those other bigger poses, nothing really exciting happens, right? Nothing really changes. You might give yourself a little bit of a giggle and a sense of pride, but your whole life doesn't change because you can do that pose. All right. Hope you all have a great day. See you next time.